Hello, well, inside the booth, everybody. This is Dan Arena and my brother Dave Arena, and we are
What's up?
special guest Daniel Santiago, former
What's up,
NBA
guys?
player.
Yeah, what's up?
So we're gonna have a good show tonight. Remember to leave
Yes,
some comments. If you have any questions, don't mind asking them.
that's right. All right. So Daniel, thanks for joining Inside the Booth tonight. Appreciate you coming on, brother.
Yeah, no problem. Anything for you, David.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sweet.
No, it's great. It's great to be on. Obviously, David and we've gotten to know each other over the past year or two, and just a good person, good man of God, good family man, and we've really started to have a pretty good friendship. Which a lot of it's been over the phone and Zoom calls and things like this.
It's
So,
true.
thank the Lord for technology. And so it's been cool to get to know the Arena family.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sweet.
Thank you. Likewise, it's been great getting to know you and getting to know your family. So, since let me just start with this to let our viewers know that when I first met Daniel, I had no idea that he was even a basketball player. I met him at church, and I was like, man, that guy is tall. I was like, I was thinking to myself, I'm the tallest one in my family. Like nobody else in my family is taller than me. So I'm like the tall guy. But when I met Daniel Santiago, I was like, he's got like a foot on me. I feel really small here.
There's always somebody taller, isn't there?
Yeah. So it's funny because, like Daniel said, our relationship started really to grow in the past year or so, like year and a half, and that's when I found out that he was a former NBA player. He played overseas. Well, Daniel will bring up all the stuff he used to do.
Mhm.
But I'm going to go with the obvious question right now. Daniel, how tall are you?
Well, I'm 7 feet tall, and I've been that way since probably I was around 20 or 19 years old. But I've always been the tallest person in my class and my family, always a head taller than everybody else. So a lot of growing pains.
Nice. All right, man. So since you were a head taller than everybody else, did you actually play basketball in high school?
Yes, in high school I started to play. I would play, off and on, just with, my dad kind of showed me a little bit when I was younger. I played, some of those little small teams that would kind of just get together for a practice and then play on the weekend and stuff like that. So it wasn't that serious, but I just want to play with my friends. So I was
Yeah.
into baseball a lot more. And, my grandfather was a Puerto Rican baseball player. My dad
Oh,
played
nice.
baseball real well as well. He never went, any level higher than high school, I think. But he taught me a lot about the game. I really enjoyed the game, still do to this day. And, ironically, my sophomore year was my first year playing high school basketball.
Okay.
And I broke my arm playing first base the night that we were having like a celebration basketball banquet. So I was
Oh, wow.
playing, I had just finished the season for basketball, and then was looking forward to it was a lot of accomplishments, and it was a hard road, and had a good year, and that was my sophomore year, and broke my arm playing first base, and I was really mad because I missed the banquet because it was like a big deal and everything. So after that, I just like, you know what, I'm just going to stick with basketball.
Nice. Nice.
Very good. That's cool.
So, all right. So so as you were saying, you were playing with your friends. My brother and I used to call it barnyard ball.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just because we lived in the Hicks of New York, and but there was no like rules. You just
The
played.
rules are very lenient.
Yeah.
Push
Yeah. I
each
mean,
other.
of course, there's no
A nice
referee, so
a
no
nice
blood, no foul.
elbow,
That's
a nice elbow to the face.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, and actually, I grew up kind of in a farming community in West Texas, in near Lubbock, Texas. So there was not much going on out there unless a friend got to come over and hang out with you. But other than that, it was just me and my brother and my dad, and
nice.
and I was already getting taller than him, so he could kind of push me around a little bit more, which I didn't like, obviously, but it was kind of a precursor of what I was going to run into when I started playing at another level.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So when you were in high school playing basketball in your sophomore year, probably your junior year, senior year,
hmm
was there any person that inspired you to keep playing basketball? Was there what was the thing that drove you to even want to start playing?
Just a lot of people wanted me on their team, obviously because of the height, and it was just something I kind of was getting pretty good at. You know what I mean? Obviously, it was a little easier for me to score than it was for the other kids, but I was just like, I'm not too bad at this. And so I had a good high school coach at the beginning. Even though I was a sophomore, I played like on the C team, which is basically the freshman team. But I had to learn so much, so I had to start out there. And the coach that I had there was Rick Sleater, and he was a really good guy and kind of had the temperament I needed for me to kind of understand the game and enjoy the game, because I would later find out there's going to be some coaches that like to yell and scream and get in your face and say all kinds of things. And so he was really good for me. And there was a guy on our varsity team. His dad was about 6'8", and his name was Chuck Cumber. And he was African American, and he just took it out of the kindness of his heart to just try to help me and show me, what I could do with my body, because he was a big guy as well. His son
Nice.
was probably about 6'3", 6'4", which was pretty good size. And so he kind of would help me after practices and just kind of, guide me and a couple of my other teammates on just how we should approach the game, what we should be doing, and how to use our body. So that was a big help for me in high school, that he just took the time out of his day to do that, because he really didn't have to. He wasn't a coach,
Right.
but he saw something in me that I didn't see, that I really didn't know, and he just took that step to help me out. So
That's
I was
awesome.
always grateful for that.
Oh, very cool. Now, is there any basketball player that you looked up to? Like maybe.
Well, David Robinson was a guy that I always looked up to. Later on, it would be guys like Elijah Wan, Patrick Ewing, all the, famous big guys
Right.
that you would see, Shaq, Alonzo Mourning, guys like that. So it was pretty cool to later on be able to play against those guys. And towards the beginning of my career. So that was kind of cool to be able to see those guys, and even guys like Vlade Divac, who was a very famous European player, and to be able to play against him was really cool.
That's awesome, man. All right. Very cool. Wow. Yeah, I was going to mention something about Shaq because we found a picture online with you up against Shaq.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Yeah, I know somebody who plays Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah.
At least it's not the one where he gave me an elbow in the mouth and I got 7 stitches on my upper lip.
Oh, jeez.
So, but I came back out there and played though.
Bro, that's barnyard ball right there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Did he ever
Take an
apologize?
elbow.
What's funny is probably a year or two ago, he was here in Sarasota, where I live, near Sarasota in
Oh, wow.
Florida.
Oh wow.
And my daughter was attending Booker High School, and they had like a special event where they could interview, um, just different famous people. Not all of them were celebrities, but Shaq happened to be one of them, and my daughter got to like interview him, and she even mentioned that, yeah, you elbowed my dad in one of the games and this and that. He was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. So, so it was kind of cool, for her to be able to, have something to kind of relate to him about, when she asked her questions. But, he was always kind of a cool guy, and he, everybody knows who he is, on TV, and that's how he was. Like, he would try to, talk to me in Spanish on the court, and he was just a funny guy, but just very, very difficult to defend. Just the massive size of his body. I mean, he was 100 pounds heavier than I was, and just about the same size. So definitely not easy to hold your ground against a guy like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right.
So we got a question from Matthew, and Daniel knows Matthew from our prayer group.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I was watching your highlights earlier today, Daniel. Pretty awesome stuff. Have you ever done a 360 or 720 dunk? Also, did you ever meet guys on the Harlem Globetrotters?
Those are real good questions. I can do a 360 dunk.
Nice.
It's not obviously as spectacular as a smaller guy doing it, but I can do it. And that was something that I really wanted to be able to do because, dunking was a big deal, for every basketball player. So I had added that to my repertoire. And then the Globetrotters was actually one of the first, like, kind of team that I really saw play in person. They came to a small town where I was living in La Mesa, Texas. It was a small farming community, and they played like one of their basketball games, and I thought it was one of the funnest things ever. So I'd always try to watch them on TV, and later on in college, met Meadowlark Lemon, who was a very famous Harlem Globetrotter and actually a believer as well. He came in and talked to the college team that I was playing for. And the year before that, I was playing for a junior college coach who actually played for the Globetrotters. His name was Reggie Franklin. And so it was kind of cool to see him, know him and learn things from him. And then also, the famous Meadowlark Lemon and, his half court shot that he would shoot. Yeah. And I got a couple of little trick shots that I like to do, and I think one of them was on the internet and was trending for a while, like a year or two ago. It's kind of a flip shot that I shoot, like, kind of behind my back from half court. And every basketball player kind of does their little trick things where they try to bounce it off the wall or off the ground and either dunk it or make it go in. And so that was kind of one of the things that I do. So, but the Globetrotters were a team that I always liked to watch and did inspire me to play the game of basketball.
Nice.
It was a good question.
Yeah.
Cool.
Were you one of those kind basketball dunkers where you could go up and you gently dunk it in, or did you slam it so hard that the glass broke?
I did break and bend a few things on the backboard a few times, but I started to learn. I had a lot of people that would tell me, "Man, if I was your height, I'd be dunking and I'd be doing this and that." And so I was like, "Okay, well, that's what I got to do." So I started really working on it and dunking and learning how to get the coordination down, and then after a while, like, I'd be dunking it, and they'd be like, "Man, that's all you know how to do is dunk the ball." And so I was like, you know what, you're not going to make everybody happy. So I
Right.
kind of learned from that. But when I did dunk it, I made sure I let people know about it.
Yes.
So, and later on in my career, it also kind of depended on what the situation it was or whatever, because some are more uh, emphatic and more emotional than others, because sometimes you're so wide open, it's just like, okay, boom, you just put it in. And then, but there's other times when you got a couple of people in your way, they're grabbing you, there's 15 fouls, the ref doesn't call it, and you just dunk it and you hang on the rim and yell out a little bit and clear out space,
Nice.
on the landing. And there's definitely a time and a place for everything.
Very cool.
That's pretty cool.
But I have fractured some backboards and glass and broken some glass and bent some rims and things like that. So the only thing bad about that is we had to stop playing. So, but everybody thought it was cool.
Yeah. So now I guess they changed all that, right? The backboards don't shatter anymore. So
I still see some of them, do. It just depends on the brand, I guess. But since guys like Shaq and just the athletes are getting much stronger and more powerful, it's you got some big linemen that can get up and dunk the ball, and those guys are not light whatsoever. So, the technology has got.
Hey, I can't hear anybody.
Jumping out there. So
there we go.
I'm back on. Sorry, you got cut out for a second there.
Yeah,
okay.
you're gonna have to repeat
no,
yourself.
all I was
I
saying
didn't hear
is,
nothing.
The technology has gotten better and allows bigger and stronger athletes to hang on the rim and have a little more force and extra effort on the rim. But I have seen some of them, either fracture in a way or, maybe get bent. I mean, it's just the laws of gravity and force and things like that are still into play.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do it at the right angle, it could, still break. But things are a lot more stronger now. So it's a little bit harder to do.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, those were the days, man. Growing up, watching the basketball players go in and slam it so hard the glass shattered. That was everything you hoped for in basketball.
Yeah, and I remember even in the video games, playing the video games, like you were trying to dunk it and just to break the backboard, and I think it was like NBA '94 or something like that, and like you could break the backboard like 3 times in a game or something. Like it was ridiculous, but it was kind of cool.
That's what it was all about. Break the backboard.
Yeah.
Smash the glass. Yep, and then they got
fun games, man.
Then they were like, "This is too dangerous."
Yeah.
Too dangerous.
I've seen guys get cut up with the glass, because it fell on them, or obviously getting hurt because they, slipped off the rim or the rim came off. You have the famous scene where Shaq dunks it and just breaks the whole thing and lands on his back. I mean, he really could have seriously got himself hurt.
Wow.
So there is a element of danger, but not so much nowadays.
Right.
Yeah.
Have
Matthew,
you ever played NBA Jam?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
He
says,
yeah.
he's on
that was
fire.
Yeah.
That
was
play
the
that.
basketball
Boom,
game.
shakalaka.
Yes.
Yeah.
64. Oh man.
That was the game.
best.
That was the game. See, I played the easy sports games like NBA Jam, Blitz, the football Blitz.
I remember
the real easy ones that you only had to hit 1 or 2 buttons.
Just mash the buttons.
Yes.
Yep.
He's on fire. Oh yeah, that was the game, man. He's on fire. That thing was addicting because it was all about getting the ball on fire.
Game too.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was fun.
There used to be, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but there was another basketball game before that called Arch Rivals. Did you ever see that basketball game? It was in the arcade.
No.
And
no,
and
I
it was basically it was a 2-on-2 game, and it was supposed to be like a high school or kind of a high school or a college basketball game, but it didn't have like the NBA teams or anything. It was just kind of real generic,
Oh,
and they
okay.
were just kind of made
okay.
up teams. But like you would have like a spilt drink on the floor. So if you ever ran over there, like your player had the ball, he would slip on the floor and lose the ball. Um,
Oh, that's
yeah,
crazy.
you could run and like just punch a dude and like steal the ball from him. And then there was another thing: if you push
That's
the
funny.
two buttons down together at the same time, you could run and like pull the guy's shorts down, and then he
Oh,
would just
jeez.
like stop and he dropped the ball, and he would be standing there in his underwear, and then you could steal the basketball.
Nice.
And
That's
it was
cool.
called Arch Rivals, and
Arch Rivals.
it was hilarious. If anybody's
man.
into that, check it out. It was pretty funny.
Arch Rivals. That sounds
Yeah.
like barnyard basketball all the way.
Yeah, it was pretty
That's
fun.
right.
Awesome, man. Awesome. All right, Daniel, I'm going to ask you a couple of serious questions. Since here at Inside the Booth, we love to entertain, but we also love Jesus. So I got to ask you, when did you come to know Jesus? When did you come to faith in Christ?
Fortunately for me, I was brought up in the church.
Okay.
My parents found the Lord probably when they were in their early 20s. When they had me, and so they started going to like a Baptist church, and then like a non-denominational church later on. And my mother worked in the children's church, so it was cool for me because I got to see all the behind the scenes and things like that, and the tricks that she would use to teach the kids the little Sunday sermon.
Nice.
I don't know if you ever remember, like whenever a pastor for the school church would open up a Bible, and the Bible would have a flame come out of it to make it look like it was the burning word of God, and it was like fire.
Nope.
And
Not New York.
this is out in West Texas, so I don't know.
That's cool.
My mom had like some little gadgets and things like that she would do, and so I would always like, oh, that's how you do it, and I would kind of see the behind the scenes, and I also liked dealing with the puppets, and a lot of
the puppets.
so I used to do little funny voices or whatever and do the puppets, and we used to watch. We would get these videos from the Gospel Bill Show. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it was real big in the Midwest and Texas. And it was this pastor. His name was Willie George, and he was out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. I think that's where he was, and he had a church there. And he made up this character called Gospel Bill, and he was like a sheriff of a little, western town, and he had all these different characters that were, that did different things throughout the show, and it was just like the greatest. It was just like the greatest thing ever for me at that time. And so when my mom would get him, I would get to see all the episodes because he made a lot of episodes, and it was a real big deal. So it kind of, and obviously it was biblical teachings. There was a dog. There was a guy dressed up in a dog suit called Bartimaeus instead of so it was Bartimaeus. They had a guy named Nicodemus. And they even had like El Diablo, which was the devil. And there was this guy in this black outfit that would run around and try to do cause havoc in their little town. So it was really cool. I learned a lot of lessons, and so I was brought up in the church, and I was always one of those kids that wanted to get saved every day, and go up and say the sinner's prayer again, because I just really wanted to be sure. And obviously, I grew out of that, but always stayed in the church, through my teen years, and it really helped laid a very good foundation for me. And there was obviously some things that the church didn't teach me,
Hmm.
that I learned later on, but at least I was there, and I was in the right place, and I learned how to really solidify my foundation in the Lord, and so it really helped me out. So since I can remember, I've been involved with the church, or reading the Bible, or trying to learn more about God.
It's good, man. Awesome. Before I move on, Dan, do you have any questions you want to ask Daniel? If you got
Yeah, I
anything.
guess. Sure. Something that kind of coincides with the church thing and growing up in church. Did you ever have a falling away when you were a bigger, in the NBA, and people, and you're more on the famous side and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I did a pretty good job of staying with it, and keeping my Bible, and trying to get
Okay,
up
cool.
and read. And obviously there would be days where you just like, man, I just didn't do it, for
Right,
whatever
right.
reason, laziness, and even sometimes it could have been just shame, like maybe I did or said, or something happened that I fell into sin, and
Hmm.
you're just like, man, I don't even want to read the word, because I'm like, I'm full of shame.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, there were times like that, and then you're like, well, what do you had that the devil puts that thought in your mind that you're just a hypocrite, and you call yourself a
Yeah.
Christian. And so, there was times when that would come in, into my life as I got older, as I started traveling and being on my own, because the devil, he loves that isolation.
Yep.
That's
And
right.
those are the times when he'll attack you a little bit more, because you don't have somebody else to kind of be like, hey bro, watch out for this, or what's going on, you look, something doesn't look right with you today,
Yeah.
and that's
Right.
and that's something that I've really needed throughout my career. And I did have some people that I would connect with in different churches, that we would if I was playing in one city and for a year or two, we'd always try to
Hmm.
connect with the church. But it was very
That's good.
difficult, because then it's like, now I gotta you know open up everything to them, and are they legit people, what I
Right.
mean? Because I've seen
Right.
Yeah.
people were like, oh, come to our church, and they smell the money. And I've
Right.
seen that,
Right.
and I've
Right.
seen that with other teammates of mine too. Because like, I'll be like, hey, come to my church, and I don't know, we've kind of been burnt by a couple of churches before, and it's a real thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
well, if you're with some people that you could connect with, and that are looking for your best interests, which obviously is hard to do, because it has to be genuine,
Yeah.
but to
Right.
do it in such a short amount of time was very difficult. I did have some people that did help me out. Usually it was like a chaplain, in the NBA, that would come and
Okay.
do our like a prayer meeting or a Bible study before our games.
Oh,
And so
cool.
I'd really connect with those guys and their families. Even in Spain, I found a couple of guys that were in the area, and were a blessing, and helped our family, and things like that. So God has put people in my path, but it has been something that I would have to definitely work on. When I went
Hmm.
back then, I needed to be a little more connected, and I think it would have helped me, because you're kind of like a nomad when you're
Right.
playing
Right.
overseas, and you're traveling. Sometimes even in the NBA, you're traveling 10 days on the road, maybe more, and then you're in different places, and you get tired, you drop your guard and things like that. And so I always try to be around other believers on the team, to keep me, out of trouble or my mind from wandering. But, it wasn't always a foolproof plan. So,
Right.
yeah, there was obviously instances where, I'd fall into sin, and you're just like, man, where do I go? Who do I talk to? Do I want to talk to anybody about this? And,
Right. Right.
Right.
so I call myself a Christian,
Mhm.
but yet I did this or said this or, thought this or that. And, in the end, you look at yourself and you're just like, man, I'm human too,
Yeah,
and
that's right. Yep.
it's tough because you have this image of yourself, because we're, basketball players or athletes are in the public eye,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and especially now, with the social media and everything, it is, people can just analyze every little thing you do, say, and look at, and just be like, oh, well, this person, they're not a Christian. you
Yeah.
know,
It's
he
true.
doesn't like
True.
eggs. I mean,
Right.
there's so many ways that people can discredit you and make you look bad on the internet or TV or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you're really trying hard to look good in that public eye, and and I just got to the point where, what, it is what it is, and I just try to be open and honest, and you also have to know, the time when you can say things and when you can't say things, because people might take it out of context
It's true.
because they're not mature enough
Right.
to handle it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people put athletes on some pretty high pedestals, and then
Right.
when they find out that their favorite athlete, made a mistake, and it's just a letdown.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you need to check your priorities, because if that was such a letdown, you know, how is that, affecting your life? Like, did you have that person as an idol in your life then?
It's
Right.
Because
good.
we're all human, and we all have fallen short. But a lot of people, they don't know the word of God, so it's easy to be like, oh, point the finger,
Yeah.
and and even people that are in the church, they still can point the
Yeah.
finger. Oh, I would never do that, and are you passing judgment on me?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, my name Daniel means, God is my judge. So that's
That's
always
right.
something I always try to remember. Like, hey,
Hmm.
God is my judge,
Yes.
and I'm trying to represent Him and His kingdom, but I'm definitely not perfect, and I need to be in the church to help me deal with whatever it is, even if it's a hypocrisy, and I just gotta get my heart right with God and try to, find the right people to help me with the situation. And the way you're going to find that is in the church. And again, the
Yeah.
church is made of humans, so they're not perfect either.
It's true.
That's
So
right.
I'd like to
That's
say
cool. Thanks.
the yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, I want to say though, I'm in between. I don't know how you guys see your screens, but I'm in
Hmm.
the middle of both Dan
Yeah.
and Daniel. So I'm in
Hmm.
between God is my judge, okay? But
All the way.
I am beloved, okay? I'm beloved. That's what my name means. I just want to point that out.
Oh yeah.
Not that it matters.
Oh yeah. Forget about it.
Forget about it. I'm
That's
beloved.
right.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah. So anyways, since you did mention Spain, Daniel,
Hmm.
how many years? So let everybody know how many years you were in the NBA here in the States, and how many years you played overseas, and in the NBA, what teams did you play for, and then where you played overseas. So
Okay. So I technically started playing overseas, which is Puerto Rico, my sophomore year of college.
okay,
Um, at that time, the NCAA was recognized, or the Puerto Rican League was recognized by the NCAA. So, as a collegiate athlete, I could play in that league, which was a professional league, as long as I wasn't getting paid a salary, they could pay for like room, a car, and then just expense money for eating. So
Cool.
it was a big blessing for me because I played a lot of basketball that sophomore year, that in the summertime when I started going over to Puerto Rico, because I was playing for the club team, and then I played for the under 21 team that Puerto Rico had, the national team. So it was
Okay.
like a group of guys that were under 21, and we had a really good team. We went to the World Championships and won a silver, which
Nice.
nobody thought we could do because it was such a small island and all that. And then third, I got the blessing and the opportunity to play for the senior national team, and that was the big team, and they went to the Olympics. They had qualified for the Olympics. So in
Awesome.
'96, my first year being over there, I got the chance to go play in the Olympics in Atlanta in '96.
Oh, nice, man. That's cool.
So that was a great experience. So in the summer times, I would go and play in Puerto Rico, come back home, play college, go back to Puerto Rico, play college. After my senior year, I did not get drafted, so I went 2 years in Italy. After each year, I would come back in the summertime, play in Puerto Rico, and then the Phoenix Suns signed me for 2 years. Played there for 2 years. Came back to Italy, played in Italy for a third year in Italy, and
Okay.
then 2 years for the Milwaukee Bucks. So 4 years of NBA basketball. And then after Milwaukee, I went to Spain and played in Malaga, Spain for 3 years, Barcelona for one, so that was 4 years. And then went to Istanbul, Turkey, which was a great experience. Played for
Wow.
a team there. The next year, I played a half a year in Belgium, and then I started playing back in Puerto Rico. The Puerto Rican League starting in January, so I started playing more the full season over there. And then I went to Argentina and played a year in Argentina for Boca Juniors, which obviously that was one of the clubs that Maradona played for. So he was a big name
Okay.
there, and a guy that just recently passed away. So, but
Wow.
and then just played in Puerto Rico the next 3 or 4 years. So about 18 plus years of professional basketball. Four in the NBA, and everything has been international since then.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Cool.
Very cool.
I've been
So,
been around the world.
he's been around, a world traveler.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool.
So here in the States, when you played in the NBA, was I think Michael Jordan was still playing, right? Did you ever play
I
up
mi-
against him?
I missed playing against him. I mean, I played against Shaq, Kobe, LeBron and Dwayne Wade were just starting into the league in like 2004. Carmelo Anthony, those guys. But I've played against some really good Hall of Famers, Tim Duncan,
Cool.
Elijah Wan, Ewing, Arvinas Sabonis. Even played with Tony Kukoc. His towards the end of his career, he played with me in Milwaukee, and so I played with him, and that was a pretty cool experience. He was interesting guy and amazing athlete, amazing player.
Nice.
So
Cool. So there's a question here. What position did you play, Daniel? What was your
center,
Julian Warner.
which center is really non-existent now, so it'd be more of a forward. But I mean, I was in there, roughing it up with the big boys, getting dirty, taking
nice?
hits, taking hits, and dishing it out, taking it and dishing it out.
That's why you're a tough
Cool.
guy.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy over there.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Awesome, man. All right, so that's pretty cool. I just think it's amazing what God does, in people's lives, and sure, we all make mistakes and we screw up along the way, but God says he remains faithful, right?
Amen.
He remains faithful to us. You know, Jesus is always there. He's never left us or forsaken us.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I won't leave you orphans. Here's my Holy Spirit, you know, that I'm going to be with you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just cool, the journeys that we all go on in this life. You know, I just think it's amazing to personally meet you. And I'm not a big basketball fan, okay? I'll just throw that out there. I wasn't big into
Nobody's
it.
perfect. It's all right.
Thank you. Thank you. The only thing I was into was NBA Jam. So that's how I knew some names. And I had a friend growing up who was a big sports nut. You know, he's crazy about all football, basketball, baseball. I know he could have been a freaking commentator. You know, he knew everybody's name, positions. I'm like, wow, man, you got a lot of time on your hand.
Yeah,
but that's
it just comes easier to others than it does, you know.
Yeah,
That's right.
So I'm like, okay. So when I met you, the first thing I thought was, man, he's tall. I didn't even think anything like, does he play for basketball? Did he play basketball? What does he do? Blah 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 blah. I was just, and then when I got to know you, that's when I started finding out, oh, holy smokes. God, you let me bump into a real professional NBA player. That's pretty cool, you know. Quick story. I was doing window cleaning for a small window cleaning company in the Hudson Valley of New York. And my boss, you know, he got jobs for residential homes with affluent people, you know. And so we'd be cleaning these $1 million homes, you know.
But they were
these
big
windows. Yeah, some were huge and some were just annoying because they had the little squares.
Yeah.
You know. So, and it was a giant pane with tiny. I'm like, how is this even? Whatever.
Was that a pun? It's a pain. It was a pain.
You catch on quick. But so we went into this one house, right, and we're cleaning the windows. You know, part of my journey here, and his name is Mike Stevens, and he comes running down to me. He's like, David. I'm like, what's up, Mike? He goes, I think we're in an actor's home. I'm like, bro, what do you mean? He's like, come upstairs. So I go upstairs with him. And he's like, doesn't this guy look familiar to you? I'm looking at the poster, right? And it's like a Broadway thing that he was on. And I'm like, yeah, he does look familiar. I was thinking about it. So if you've ever seen the movie The Devil Wears Prada, okay, at this time, married. I've been married like 3-4 years in. So I'm watching chick flicks now.
Yeah.
So Devil Wears Prada. And I'm like, I know that guy. That's my wife's favorite actor. His name is Stanley Tucci. Sure enough, I look behind me. There's another poster with his name on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in Stanley Tucci's house.
Forget about it.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
So then we're finishing up the job. And there was Stanley Tucci sitting at his table, eating breakfast or whatever. And what does my boss do? He asked Stanley Tucci. He's like, hey, I got a guy here who likes you. His wife likes you. Can he get an autograph? So Mike calls me in, and I'm standing there, and I'm looking at the guy. I'm like, holy crap. I didn't know what to do. I felt like really nervous. And he goes, how you doing? I'm like, I hope your windows look nice.
That's all you could say.
That's all.
That was your big moment. And
that's my big moment. I'm like, I hope your windows turned out really nice. He's like, oh yeah, I like them a lot. He goes, I hear your wife likes my acting. I'm like, yeah, she thinks you're great. He's like, let me write her an autograph. And he's like, will this lined paper do? I'm like, I guess so.
Yeah.
He signs his name. What's your wife's name? Veronica. To Veronica from Stanley Tucci. And then he hands it to me, and I'm like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
So I totally blew that, and I'm leaving, and I'm like, oh, man, I could have had an opportunity to really get to know this guy. But no, I just fumbled all the way through. Anyways, so that's my
I
life.
agree with.
I meet these cool people like Daniel Santiago, and I fumble my way through getting to know
That's right.
people. So
I agree with Matt. My brother's a big geek.
yes, I am very
That's
geeky.
funny.
All right, Daniel, I got a couple more questions, and then we'll be done. So currently, what are you doing now? And is this something that you like? Is there more that you want to do after what you're doing now, or is this where you feel like this is what God's called you to be in this moment? So
Yeah,
currently, what are you doing now?
right now, I'm a basketball coach at IMG Academy. It's a sports academy for middle school, high school, and kids that play a post grad year, which is like a year of no school, but they keep playing so they can develop or get more recruiting, hopefully. So it's pretty cool. We have a lot of kids from different places in the world, so I can kind of help relate to those kids. And it's just it's boys and girls, so we get to teach them. I get to teach them all the things that I know and learn and experienced. And you have a lot of interesting dynamics that go on at the school. You have kids that are very well off, and then you have kids that are not so well off, and they might be there on scholarship. And so it's interesting to see the different dynamics that go on there. And so it's really cool. And I just feel like, God opened the door for me to have this job. I was going to get another job at like in sales. And I was really praying that God would open the door for this job so I could still stay in basketball. It's something I love to do and be a part of, and
Awesome.
like coaching and helping kids and trying to learn how to be a coach and things like that, but I really like the skills development part and trying to help kids understand what the coaches want, what the idea, what our goal is, what our objectives are when you get the ball in certain areas and things like that. So, God opened up a door for me. I was going to start a new job in sales. And that night, they called me up at IMG, and God answered my prayer. And
Nice.
the director said, "You want to be a part of IMG?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." And
Cool.
it was,
Cool.
I mean, and it was last second because it was something, I've been doing basketball pretty much all my life and really didn't want to start doing something else. Wasn't into sales really, but that was those were my options. And
Right.
so I was just like, you know what, Lord, this is where you want me to go and to sales, then I'll do it, and help me do it the best I can. And I mean, you're talking about like in the evening, the call came the day before I would have to report into that other job. And so it was just enough time for me to call that other job and say, hey, look, the job that I was looking for came through and I'm going to go with them. So I appreciate it, blah, blah, blah. So 3 months later, I'm, working at IMG, and I just found out that this was 4 years ago. That company was called H Gregg, which was like kind of like a Best Buy, but
Okay.
a little cheaper version of it. They have the electronics and they have the washers and dryers and things like that. Your needs and your wants, and they filed for bankruptcy,
Oh wow.
and that store actually closed. And there's nothing there now.
Right.
And I was just like, man, so that just kind of told me that that's kind of where I think God wanted me to be. And so I've been here for 4 years. I really enjoy it. Not sure what the future is going to hold, for me here at this job, but I am learning a lot of things and meeting a lot of interesting people. And so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know if God wants me to do something later on with the basketball and in ministry. We'll see what happens, but what's going
Cool.
to happen. But as of this moment, like I've been very, very blessed through the COVID. Did not get laid off, did not get furloughed. Actually, kind of kept working through it,
Good.
which
Praise the
a
Lord.
lot of people, yeah, amen. A lot of people, obviously, those things didn't happen for them. So I'm like very, very thankful for where I'm at, and just going day by day, and just being trying to be faithful and obedient. I think this is where God wants me right now. I'm kind of planted in a church, which I like, and just starting to get connected with community, which is something that I've needed, throughout my life, to be able to
It's
be
good.
around some people that that I can talk to, and just share burdens with and thoughts with. So that's been a big blessing. So I really think that this is where God has me, where He wants me to be right now. So we'll see what happens in the future. Again, I don't know if maybe I'll start coaching in the professional ranks or the college ranks, but I've kind of seen how some of those things are, and there's a lot of traveling involved, and kind of want to be around the family because I have traveled a lot,
Yeah.
and it's great, but sometimes it's really nice to sleep in your own bed,
Yeah.
and to be wake up to your wife and your kids, and the kids are almost out of the house now, but there's still a couple more years left, so I just want to be able to enjoy that.
Yeah.
So that's where God has me right now, and like I said, we'll just see what door He opens up, and that's kind of always been the way I've lived my career, and just Lord, whatever door you want me to go through, then show it to me, and if not, close it. And so He's hasn't steered me wrong.
It's awesome, man. Cool.
Good.
Awesome.
Amen.
All right. Final question. Here we go. This is everybody wants to know this one, Daniel.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Man. Well, being a basketball player, sometimes you get to see a lot of movies on the road when you travel. I have a lot. Probably one of the most impactful ones is the Star Wars original series trilogy.
There you go. That's right.
Those three. The Empire Strikes Back has got to be one of the top ones on the list.
Nice.
That's I've always enjoyed that story, and I think there's a lot of things that you can kind of relate to biblically about it,
That's true.
in certain ways. But I know there's also other ways that people can kind of twist things about it. So, I think that's just what kind of makes it cool. I think just about everybody can relate to it somehow, some way. And there's a lot of movies out there that I've always liked. The Gladiator, the Rocky movies, the
Oh,
Karate
Rocky.
Kids, Karate Kid movies, Back to the Future,
Okay,
all
yeah.
those, the
Karate Kid
classic
3
ones.
was my favorite.
Yeah,
Not really.
not really. But there's a lot of movies out there that I do like. The sports, true story movies, those kind of movies I really enjoy. And I do like my comedy movies. I really do like Liar
Comedy's
Liar,
good.
the
Oh, yeah.
slapstick.
Oh, yeah.
Some of that stuff, I kind of think is hilarious. Jim Carrey was one actor comedian that I thought was real hilarious. Some of his movies,
Good.
and the Dumb and Dumber. I mean, I could almost do that line for line.
Yes.
Those
Dumb
were
and
always
Dumber.
fun ones.
Yeah. So I mean, there are a lot out there, and I've probably seen just about all of them except for the horror movies. Was never into those.
Yeah, me either.
As a
That's
Christian, God says in His Word, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. So,
That's right.
and in the times that I did watch, something along those lines, it was, real disturbing to my spirit. So, you have to be careful what you watch,
Yeah.
and, be careful what you listen to and see. So,
It's
because
true.
I remember as a young kid, man, you're so, impressionable.
Yeah.
And, even though it's Hollywood, and Hollywood makes this look, really cool and this and that, like, everybody, the Scarface movie, everybody talks about that. And it's just like, it was kind of a sad movie if you really think about it, but, that's Hollywood.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, lots of movies that I could probably sit here for hours and talk about.
Wow.
So I am a
Well,
movie
here
guy.
I have a question. Since you like Star Wars, how do you like the new Mandalorian series?
I like it. In all honesty, I do. I think, there's a couple
Yes.
episodes here and there where you're just like, yeah, okay, they're
Yeah, it was
kind of
okay. Yeah.
stretching a little bit, but
Come
I think
on. You mean you didn't like
it's
the spiders?
yeah,
The
yeah,
ice
the
spiders?
snow spiders or whatever they
Yeah.
are. Um, yeah, so some of those things you're kind of like, okay, they're just kind of giving me a little, appetizer here to, maybe tide me over for the next episode, which
Right.
that
Right.
didn't disappoint. With the whole Boba Fett,
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool.
appearance, and
Yep.
then now we have my little boy likes to watch the Clone Wars, the cartoon,
Yep.
and
Oh yeah.
so
Yeah.
I've kind of have seen it with him and watched it, and it's really amazing how the characters on the cartoon look
Hmm.
like the real life people. So you're like,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
did a really good job of making them look
Yeah.
that real. And then and I didn't realize Rosario Dawson was Ahsoka.
So yeah,
Yeah.
So
that's
see,
crazy. It's cool.
Puerto Rican power on that one,
That's right.
and
That's right.
Dan, I told you. I told you she was Hispanic.
yeah,
See,
I
we
knew.
had this
I
little
know. I
discussion
know.
about this earlier.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's
Was
Puerto
it yes?
Rican, but I know she has some like Native American in her too, like different tribes. She has
Oh,
a
okay.
mix of
Hmm.
different things going on.
Cool.
So, but obviously the Puerto Ricans are going to claim her, and
Yes.
Right.
so I thought she did a good job as Ahsoka
Yeah.
on that one. So, but I
Agreed.
mean, in all honesty, I told my little boy we could probably just watch an hour of the little Goguru
Yeah.
walking
That's right.
around.
Now that he's got a
Just
name.
yeah, you can't call him Baby Yoda anymore. So
No.
No,
Baby
that's right.
Grogu,
Go. Yep.
and you could just probably
Love
watch
it.
him him just alone, just cooing
That's right.
and trying to eat things and eat eggs and things like that.
Right.
So, but I think that the directors, there's like 6 of them that have done the series I think they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
It's just, it's hard because, with the Star Wars series, a lot of, even in the movies, it's some of the stuff is like the same stuff being
Yeah.
regurgitated.
Yeah.
And it's very, very hard to, beat what the original, has done.
Yeah.
And
It's
This,
true.
this
to,
is
to,
true.
to replicate that, I think they've done a pretty good job of replicating this story about the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And it'd be pretty cool to see if any other bounty hunters come in to play. I don't know if you guys remember the bounty hunters that were on The Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
I can't wait to see Boba Fett again.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You know he's
yeah,
coming back.
yeah. So how did he escape the Sarlacc?
Yep.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's going to be interesting to see how they do that. But I'm kind of looking forward to it, and it's kind of cool. It's something that I can sit with my little boy, and we can kind of like talk about certain things, and even some of the little life lessons that go on. I try to say, hey, that's that guy was a little bit, sneaky, so you kind of have to watch out because some people, there are some people that are like that. So you have to always
Mhm.
keep your eyes and ears,
Yep.
open, and ask God to, give you wisdom and favor and discernment. So I just try to make some kind of lesson out of it, because
cool.
I know it's something he likes and maybe he can relate to
Yeah, that's good.
a little bit
Yeah.
better and relate it to a Bible, story or something like that. So, but I've enjoyed it. So I can't wait for next Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You know how many episodes they're supposed to do? Episodes? How many?
should be 8, I think.
Just
I
8?
think 8.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they did the first season, so who knows?
Well, usually the first season is kind of like shorter, just to see if people really like it, and then
Right.
sometimes 2 and 3 will maybe go up to a couple more episodes. So I don't know.
Right.
We'll see. See how much money they make.
Yeah.
I think they're doing just fine.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You got to get a Yoda or a baby Grogu,
Grogu.
doll, I guess, for Christmas now, because I'm sure that's going to be the hot item for
No.
everybody.
That's right.
No, you're not going to get it?
Not for me. Not for me. If I
Not
get
for you?
anything,
I'll do it. If
I get anything, Dan, you can have that. But if I get anything, I want to get the Mandalorian helmet, so I can go to work. So I can go to work with the helmet on as my face mask. And
There
work
you
like
go.
that.
Helmet, that'd be cool.
And hey, if I sneeze, it'll get all right on my visor.
It's right.
Yeah.
And then
It's in your face.
I saw on Instagram the Iron Man helmet. Have you seen that?
No.
There's like a helmet you can buy and put it on, and you do a voice command, and it'll open up like it does, for Iron Man.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I saw that on Instagram, and I was like, no way. It looked really cool.
There you go. These are the kind of masks we need to be wearing at work.
Right.
There
That's
you go.
right.
That's what I'm just saying. At least you could still breathe. I mean, I even want to get a Darth Vader helmet. I get a respiratory thing that
Yeah, see,
helps
Vader was
me.
ahead of his time.
See?
Yeah.
Well, or was ahead of his future. I don't know. So, but yeah, those guys that were wearing masks, and now we all can, like that's what I want to do, is get one of those. You remember GI Joe?
Yeah.
And get the Cobra, insignia on a black mask, so I can look like one of the Cobra terrorists. So walk around, like that.
That's it.
But
Yes.
yeah, so that just kind of shows you my age demographic there. GI Joe, Transformers.
Yeah.
Transformers.
That's it.
That's it.
Love it.
All the good
Love
stuff.
it.
All the good stuff
right.
was
All
in
the
our
good
time.
Yeah,
I know.
It was in
it.
our time.
yeah. But I mean, I like the Marvel superheroes too. I think they've done a really good job with that, and the stories on that.
Well, I'm glad we got to see Endgame before COVID-19, because
That's right. Maybe that was planned.
it could have been. Could have been very planned.
Yeah, it could have. So
And then that was it.
But now that you've gone back, now that they've gone back in time into the, disrupt time and everything, the time travel thing.
That's true.
Now you've opened up a whole infinite universe of different characters that come into play. So it just keeps on going.
Yes, it does.
That's right.
Never ends.
I guess we're gonna have to have you, Daniel, as with what for our one of our movie reviews that we do. That'll be fun.
Yeah. If you want to join us to do a movie review, we like doing live movie reviews.
Yeah, or do you guys watch it and then commentate on it, or you just watch it and then do it later?
Yeah, we watch it before, and then we'll go on live and talk about it.
That's right.
Oh, okay, so it's not like Mystery Science Theater 3000.
You
ever see those
we
guys?
would love to do something like that, but we don't have that technology just yet.
Yes. One day we will. One day we
That's
will.
right.
Yeah, all you got to
That
do
was
is
part
just
of our plan.
film the back of your head like as if you're there in the theater.
Right, that's true. Those
were funny. My youngest brother, he loves those.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many seasons there are, but they're like a lot of seasons.
It used to be Science Mystery Theater 2000, and then they upgraded to 3000. So
right,
that, I don't know, was that their first season? Then their second season was 3000, and then that was it. I don't know.
I don't know.
But it used to be a lot of fun to watch. I mean, So everybody who's watching us, that was one of our plans when my brother and I got together and started doing Inside the Booth was we wanted to do something like that, a Science Mystery 3000. But then he moved to New York, Move to New
That's
York,
right,
bro.
that's right.
Go ahead, move to New
Yeah,
York.
that's right. That was going to be
Just-
our special stuff for only people that paid.
Oh,
But yeah,
Cat's
okay.
out. Cat's out of
Was
the
that
bag.
the golden egg?
Right.
Yeah, that was the golden egg.
yeah,
It's a
that
golden
would have
egg.
been the golden egg. Yep.
And then you did something like this and totally ruined it.
That's
right.
right.
Selfish. Trying to live your life and provide for your family.
Unbelievable, man.
How can you do that? It's
All
like
right.
telling a pastor everything should be free.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
So,
Well, at least,
can
go
can I sneak one other question in there? Just
Sure.
All right.
going back into
hold
asking
on,
you a question.
This
Yeah,
will be
okay,
your last
sorry.
question, and then we'll have to end it. So
All right, cool. Have you ever done like events, like spoken at events and stuff like that?
yeah, I've done some public speaking things here and there.
And
With the NBA, a lot of times I've done basketball without borders, and
Okay.
sometimes we'll get up and we'll talk to the kids about our experience. I've done that in different little camps here and there. Probably
Okay.
the biggest one I did was when I went to China. The NBA called me up and they wanted me to go with this other NBA basketball player, Cedric Ceballos, who used to play for the Phoenix Suns. So it was kind of cool to meet him. He was a high flyer back in the day, and so they wanted us to go and do a bunch of like little camps for the kids there in China, and then
Right.
they also gave me an opportunity to talk to the kids at this one, like I guess it was kind of like a university, and there was just so many kids there. I mean, there's just a lot. The population is just amazing over there in China. So
Cool.
I got a chance to talk to them, tell them about my life, kind of what I'm telling you guys, and just kind of be a witness to them, which
That's cool.
in China that's kind of a hard thing to do.
yeah,
Right.
And usually the government is not going to be too happy about those things. So and I didn't elaborate too much, but I basically told them that I was a believer and this and that, and it was interesting. I mean, they were very receptive, and a lot of them had like done their research on me, and they were asking about my wife and my kids and how they were doing and stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's
And I was,
cool.
wow.
and I kind of took, I kind of was like, did they prep you guys on this or something?
Right.
But some of them just took it, upon themselves to like you guys, to ask, interesting questions. So, and I would tell them, yeah, I met my wife in Puerto Rico and this and that. And is she tall or is she small? I was like, she's small. And they just thought that was the most interesting thing in the world. And so it kind of made you feel real good. I mean, they were just, hungry for that information and knowledge
Right.
and to learn about, how life is in America and for a basketball player, because just like anything, we have our own little worlds that we live in. And, sometimes you wonder how things are on the other side. And to have somebody come and kind of bring news from the other side
Right.
is a really cool thing. And you never know what seeds that you plant, good or bad. Hopefully the seeds that I planted were good seeds that the kids can maybe use in the future, or help them get to know the Lord somehow.
Yeah.
Because and I, again, like what we talked about at the beginning, I mean, there was people in my life that were there for just a season, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, or maybe even just a day, and they invested, their time and helped me out for nothing else than just trying to be a good person and trying to help. And, that's kind of like paying it forward. So I try to do the same thing, try to encourage people because we have so much negative stuff going on in this world, and just try to be a blessing and encourage kids, to aim high. My aim was to make it to the NBA, and I did make it to the NBA, but along the way, I found a lot of other things, and God blessed me with some really cool things, traveling the world. He brought me to Puerto Rico where I met, my wife.
That's
And,
awesome.
those things I do not take lightly. And that's why we try to tell people, aim high, because you never know what God has in store. Maybe you were, aiming for president of the United States, and then along the way you found out that being governor is where God wants you to be, or, being a lawyer or whatever it is. But, you do have to have some kind of a goal to get you, going, getting off, the couch and getting on the road.
Yeah.
And sometimes that in itself will just, make you turn on a turn that you never knew was available, and then you find your niche. One of the stories I always like to talk about is The Rock, Dwayne, The Rock, the actor.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he had a little video where he was in Canada. He was in I think it was Toronto or something. And he goes, "This is crazy." He's like, I don't know, 12, 15 years ago to this day, I was in Canada, and I had just gotten cut from the Canadian football, team that I was playing for, because his dream was to get to the NFL. And,
Right.
he didn't know what he was going to do, and this and that. Now, flash forward 15 years later, he's one of the hottest action stars on the screen.
Yeah.
And he went through wrestling. His father was a wrestler and stuff like that. But his desire, to be in the football and to be in the NFL led him to something else. So it was good that he had those goals, because if he didn't have any, then who knows where he would have ended up. So
It's true. It's true.
So
good.
yeah, man, I just try to set some goals and just try to go after them, and then God will open up the eyes of your heart and show you where He wants you to be. So
That's right.
and it doesn't always work out for everybody. Like you go to college and then you go straight to the NBA. I mean, you might have to go to Europe, or some other route to get there.
It's true.
So, just because everybody that had done it before you went this certain route doesn't mean that that's the route for you.
It's good.
That's true.
It's a good word. All right. Well, Daniel, thank you for joining us tonight on Inside the Booth,
problem.
man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. I wish we were like really in a booth.
Yes,
right.
But then we'd have to wear the mask and everything. So
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Eventually,
listen,
we'll get there.
You're not the first person to say that, by the way.
Okay.
We've had a couple other people say that, like, hey, it would be great if you guys actually were in a booth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would
We're
have to
getting
be
there.
in a glass, like plexiglass, and
Right. In
that
between each other.
might be an added expense. So
Yeah. Well, we're going to get there. We're going to have our booth.
That's right. That's
And it's
right.
going to look like a balcony. And it's going to be
Yeah.
like my favorite Christmas movie, The Muppets Christmas Carol, where the two old Muppets are yakking back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, those were one of my favorite Muppets right there.
Yeah.
But
So
the only thing for that to happen is Dan would have to move down to Florida.
that's true.
That's right. I have to move back.
Bring all your
I will
family with you.
eventually. Definitely.
Well, until then, man, thank you guys for having me on the show, and it was a pleasure doing
thank
it,
you.
and hopefully I get to do it again some other time.
Yeah,
Definitely.
If
That'd
you
be
have
great.
if you have any plugs, you can plug them in now, like YouTube or whatever, or follow
Yes,
you on something.
because behind me is
Yeah. Who's that young, handsome guy?
Is that you?
Hey, look
Yep.
at that.
There we go. Daniel
Yeah.
Santiago, YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's our YouTube plug right there.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I just have the YouTube channel. I'm gonna try to put some more videos out of me in college, and also some more NBA games. So my dad has like a treasure trove of all the games that he recorded, as much as he
Oh,
could
cool.
throughout my career. So I'm going to try to put some of those out later on. And yeah, I'm on Instagram. You can just, put my name, Daniel Santiago, 1525, and follow me on Instagram if you want, man.
There you go.
Hopefully it'll be a blessing to you. And yeah, again, thank you guys for having me on the show.
All right.
Hey, you're
So
welcome.
everybody, thanks for joining us here at Inside the Booth. Don't forget, we're on Parler, we're on Rumble, we're on Facebook. Oh my gosh, we're on Twitter. Here on YouTube, Instagram.
We
we're
have
everywhere.
a Patreon.
We're Patreon now, and so come find us, follow us, share, subscribe, do all those great things that you're supposed to do to help us.
That's right.
All right, guys.
Cool.
Have a great night, and thanks again for coming to Inside the Booth.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thanks, everybody.